let's get started with the first secret. And that is that people don't buy information. And for years, we've been led to believe that our main value is in our content and our information by well-meaning experts and gurus, by people selling courses on how to make courses. And we've been following the model of the big information marketers of the 1980s, like Tony Robbins and Zig Ziglar and Jay Abraham, from back before the days information went online, when it was literally a package like this one that arrived, right? It was basically just a package that arrived in your mailbox. And the equation was the more content you had, the better, because the more pages and pieces, the bigger the thud it made landing on someone's doorstep. And the bigger the thud, the bigger the perceived value it had for them. All right. See, that's a pretty big thud it can make, right? And the equation was essentially more thud equals more value. More thud equals more value. And the crazy thing is that this idea from the 1980s has actually led all of us down the road of stuffing our courses with an overwhelming amount of content. And up until now, this has actually been the gold standard model for creating courses over the last 40 years. But the truth is that these days, your customers can find most of this information online for free, because YouTube and Google are basically these giant rivers of free content. So your value isn't in the volume of content you give to people. Your value is only whether you can get the specific result that you provide. Because remember, people don't pay for information, they pay for the transformation. And if you can deliver that transformation faster and easier for people, that's what's going to get them buying and loving your programs, not more stuff. I know it's counterintuitive. It can feel weird at first, but when it comes to your online course or group coaching program, less is actually more. So my recommendation is that you don't try to teach everything that you know in a single go, which makes even the idea of creating a course feel overwhelming. So if you've been overwhelmed in the past about how to get started, this might be the reason why. So instead, make your life easy and become the thing that your customers are actually looking for by narrowing down the focus of your course to one clear and one precise outcome. And then figure out the absolute least amount of content that you need to give someone in order to reach that one goal as quickly and easily as possible. So I call this a minimum viable product, or MVP. And in my very first course, the one where people were dropping like flies, I did not create a minimum viable product. Instead, I tried to teach people everything that I knew about business. I had modules on business strategy and branding and product creation and website design and marketing, and even one for testing and analytics. Basically, these 7 courses in one, all crammed into a single 6-week program. So my intentions were good. I wanted to give my students absolutely everything they needed to launch an online business, but it turned into this mega program that almost nobody bought and even fewer people finished. It was just too overwhelming, this mountain of content, which translated into lots of refund requests and declining sales over time. But the good news is that I learned from that mistake. And now my blockbuster hit product, the Experience Product Masterclass, leads students through the process of designing, launching, and profiting from an experience product in 12 weeks or less. So I still talk about business strategy and branding and web pages and marketing, but all from the perspective of launching a successful coaching program or online course. And because this outcome is a lot more focused, I knew the exact minimum content that I needed to include for my students to hit that goal as quickly and easily as possible. So I call the very focused and specific result that you help people accomplish your product mission. And you can think of your product mission as the big result or promise of your program. It's what your customers are really saying yes to when they buy, exactly what they'll achieve through your program. And I like to imagine it as a finish line that people can imagine themselves crossing at the end. And in my first course, my mission was just too big and too broad and too overwhelming for people. And it's a big reason the course failed. But the mission for our Experience Product Masterclass was just right. And it's been a hit. And the difference in sales has been extraordinary. In the first 4 years I sold my course, it brought in a grand total of $470,000. And in just the first 4 years of selling the Experience Product Masterclass, it brought in over $5 million. And now that number is $10 million. And it's not just me. My students have also seen huge success by turning huge ideas for courses into these simple missions. So Susan Descansi was a successful licensed therapist and coach with 23 years of experience and simply amazing expertise in a broad range of situations. And when you've got a lot of experience and can help people in a number of different ways, it can feel really hard to narrow down to a specific mission for your course or program. You with me? Anyone have this trouble? Let me know in the chat if you've had that challenge before. Because Susan had so much to teach, she really struggled to narrow down to this one focused mission for her course. So she had been stuck around creating an online course for 5 years. And I see many of you saying, yes, me, yes, sure. It's a huge problem for a lot of people. So she knew that she loved working with spiritual, heart-centered people, but she struggled to find the one thing that would be helpful to them and would solve a pain that was worth paying for. So with our help, here's the awesome mission she settled on. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to eliminate the blocks keeping your profits small and create your fail-proof action plan in 10 weeks or less so you can generate 2 to 10 times your current revenue over the next 6 months. So this gave Susan a very specific target market and a specific way to use her vast skill set to help people achieve a very specific mission with her program. It also made it much easier for her clients to see that, yes, this program is for me versus a broad personal development program, which is so much harder to sell. And then there's James Baton and his wife, and they also have this very broad personal development for men idea in mind. And he told me they felt stuck around even getting started. So we helped him channel his expertise into one specific target market, which was men going through a difficult breakup. And here's the mission we helped him create. Your mission over the next 9 weeks, should you choose to accept it, is to rise from the ashes of your breakup a better man than before, transforming emotions into enemies, transforming emotions from enemies to allies, confusion into clarity, and insecurity into confidence, so that you can avoid future heartbreak and recognize a quality woman who's ready to create a loving and fulfilling relationship aligned with your values and desires. So it's clear and compelling, right? And you may notice that both of these product missions use the same template, what I call the mission possible template. So simply fill in the blank. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is blank. And that instantly shifts you from your perspective of what you want to teach or offer to what your potential clients are actually saying yes to, what they're going to do, be, feel, have, overcome, or achieve. Because remember, people don't pay for information, right? They pay for what? They pay for the transformation. And when you base your course around a single clear and compelling result, like the examples I just showed you, you're going to see your sales skyrocket. Now, I know that this level of focus may feel limiting to you, especially if you're the kind of person with vision and expertise and knowledge, hundreds of ideas on a hard drive somewhere, and plans for a dozen books. There are just so many things you could teach. I get it. And here's the thing. There's no law saying you can only have one course. Why not release a second or a third and just keep going? Why not create as many as you can so that your happy customers have more and more opportunities to buy from you? I mean, once you've got the skills to do it once, you can do it over and over whenever you wish, right? Once you get rolling with this, you can build a whole business around this, like so many of my students have done.